Robert T. Bishop, born May 14, 1866, and died February 6, 1930. He is buried in St. John the Evangelist Church, Barrytown. His grave is marked by a small marble stone with shield motif near the centre north edge of the cemetery. This military-issued gravestone and its accompanying bronze marker lets us know that Robert Thomas Bishop served in Company K of the 9th New York Infantry Regiment in the Spanish-American War, a brief conflict that erupted and concluded in 1898, and nothing else. Records of those who served indicate that he enlisted in New York City near the start of the war in May, and was honourably discharged after its official conclusion in November. He was hospitalized in August at Lita Hospital in Chickamauga, Georgia, a former hotel that had been purchased by Mary T. Lita and given to the government due to deplorable conditions at nearby military Camp Thomas. Perhaps Robert had been a resident of the camp and had suffered, as did the 750 soldiers who died from illnesses such as typhoid fever while stationed there. Given that grim statistic, it's unsurprising that half the American casualties of the Spanish-American War were from disease. By October, Robert was furloughed by order of the head surgeon at Lita, so it's possible he never saw combat, and the illness he contracted in camp may have caused him problems for the rest of his life. Robert Bishop was 5 foot 6 inches tall, with light brown hair, and was born May 14th, 1866, in Wolverhampton, England. He arrived in the US on November 1st, 1884, and probably lived in Boston until he met his future wife. Elise M. Booth, born January 22nd, 1880, in Southport, England, was the daughter of Joseph Booth and a Miss Martin. Robert and Elise were married on April 15th, 1917, in Durham, England. There is a gap in age between them of 14 years. But as it was 15 months later, it would not appear that the marriage was due to the pending arrival of their only child, son Kenneth Bromley Bishop, who was born in Bridgeport, Connecticut on July 9th, 1918. According to Elise's December 1917 emergency passport application, she needed the document to return to the US with Robert, who had moved to Glasgow for the purpose of getting married. Elise was then residing in Paisley, Scotland, but her permanent address was in Providence, Rhode Island. The same document also stated that Robert had been naturalized in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and resided in Boston. In the 1920 census, it was recorded that Robert, Elise, and their 18-month-old son were living on Broad Street in Stratford, Fairfield County, Connecticut, where Robert was an inspector in a factory. How or why they made their way to Red Hook is unclear, but Robert had been at a veterans hospital for an unknown length of time. When it was reported, he suffered a stroke and died in Northern Duchess Hospital in Rhinebeck in 1930. Elise applied for his military tombstone to be delivered to the rectory of St. John in Barrytown, where she also happened to be employed, doing housework for Reverend Herbert Smith. By the time the census came around that year, Elise and son Kenneth were recorded at home in Bridgeport, Connecticut. At age 49, Kenneth Bishop married Edith Lengyel of Hungary, born 1921 and died 1998. The former Mrs. Thea Waldo and daughter of Franz Lengyel and Terza Takats, November 28, 1967, in San Francisco. Kenneth was a sergeant in the Army and died in 1995. He and Edith are buried at Golden Gate National Cemetery in San Bruno, California. His mother, Elise Bishop, died in 1959 in California, presumably having removed there to be close to her son.